This story was sent to me by one of my followers, subscribers, however you want to call it. And when I started to read into this and got to the end of the article itself, I said there's no way I could have just bypassed and ignored this, because this is actually a big deal. Hence why I titled this video the way that I did. But let me pretty much set the scene of what's going on here. So this woman's name is Patricia Cummings, and she was a teacher at a middle school in the Bronx, New York. Now, anyone who's familiar with the Bronx knows that the demographic in that area of New York is a lot of Puerto Ricans up there. You might have some black people living in there. It's a very multicultural area, but New York as a whole is very multicultural. But that area has a lot of Puerto Ricans in it and some black people. So this woman decided to take it upon herself, and she's was a social studies teacher, to give a lesson plan talking about slavery. So she singled out the black students in the class to mimic what it would have been like to travel by the boat going through the Middle Passage. Now, those of us who knows the history of that knows that it was very dark, it was hot, and most of all, it was very cramped. There was really no room for movement. A lot of people didn't make it. A lot of people died. A lot of people got sick. Some people jumped overboard because of that long voyage over. Now, when it got out about what her quote-unquote lesson plan was, people went off on her, and rightfully so. The school got wind of it and said that they gave her pretty much like a 30-day notice, saying that she had to be out by a certain time. And I believe they said her last day was on September 17th. So they gave her like a 30-day notice, which is a very long time for a notice. I'm sure that the parents found out. Parents got upset. Well, now she's trying to flip it and claim reverse racism on this part right here. There you go. That typical reverse racism BS that a lot of white people like to spew out so they can go and float into the victim mode. Now, the scary part about this whole thing is that she has, I guess, got some very good ass lawyers, because they actually think this woman has a solid case to take to court. Let me repeat that. They believe that they have a solid case to take to court. This woman could stand to get $120 million just in damages alone. Like, that's what she's trying to seek. But then I saw somewhere else in the article, it's at even upwards close to $1 billion. Money aside, the reason why this is so scary is because if this woman, hypothetically speaking, was able to go to court and claim reverse racism and, hypothetically speaking, won, that's going to set the tone for a lot of white people to claim reverse racism whenever racism gets called out on their behalf, especially when what they did was racist in nature. That means it'll be even harder to claim that they are being racist when they're committing a racist act. That's going to give them another step up and more ammo. I'm going to leave the link to the article so you can read it for yourself. Like, when I said it, I said, that's scary. Because all they need is one win. Like I said, if she was to go to court and win her case, that's all they need. And before you know it, laws will start to change. They'll throw reverse racism into motion to the point where it'll get thrown in your face so many times, racism is going to start to fade into obscurity. They'll be like, what's racism? Racism, that doesn't exist anymore. Now it's all about reverse racism, and that's only going to gear toward them. I even saw somewhere in the article that said, well, we always talk about racism when it comes to black people, black students, black kids, and other quote-unquote people of color, but how come we don't want to talk about the discrimination that white people face when they work in these places? Well, she decided to work there. She could have went to a predominantly white area and worked there if she wanted to, but she chose to work there. And I wouldn't be surprised if this was her grand scheme in all of this to try to get some money and to get a case. But the fact of the matter is if she has a case and it went to court and she won, all hell is going to break loose, as if it hasn't already broken loose. But I'm just saying, this is going to be another tier, another layer that they can stack on top of that. But that's really all I wanted to say as it pertains to this video right here. Y'all let me know what you think down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. The contact, Patreon, and all the other links, including the ones to this article, will be in the description. I'll talk to you in the next one.